Hello everyone, welcome to YouTube channel Math Everywhere, and here's Mr. Nizar. They call me Mr. Key. So this is Math SL paper 1 when students don't need calculator, but the same question can come for AI and HL. This question has 15 marks. It's a good question. I like it actually. So it's more about functions. Here they started it with a radical function. Here they gave you the domain x greater or equal to 1/2. So this is the domain. So question AI, find the inverse of h x, then find the domain of it. So for the inverse there are 3 steps. Remember that hx here is y, so the first step is replacing each x with y and each y with x. So this will be x equal square root of 4y minus 2. Step number 2, solve for y. So you need to isolate y. So here I would square both sides to delete the square root. So x squared equals 4y minus 2, then isolate y. So plus 2, x squared plus 2 equals 4y divided by 4. So y equals, the third step is writing y as the inverse, which is h negative 1x equals x squared plus 2 over 4. So this is the inverse, and they need the domain for it. They need the domain for it. The domain here is, since this looks like a quadratic function, so x squared is always positive, but here x can be any number, so also the denominator will never be 0. So the domain here, which is the values of x, right? So the domain here is all real numbers, because any value of x can work here is all real numbers. Question AI, they need the range. They need the range of the inverse. What is the range? The range here is the values of y. If you notice here, whatever x is, x squared is positive, right? Because any number, if you square it, is going to be positive. Plus 2 is positive, divided by 4 is positive. So x squared is greater or equal to 0. X squared plus 2 is greater or equal to 2. Now let's divide by 4, because here you will add 2 to both sides, which is 0 plus 2. I'm adding 2 to both sides. Then now I will divide by 4, x squared plus 2 over 4 greater or equal to 2 over 4. So x squared plus 2 over 4 is greater or equal to 1/2, which is range. So y greater or equal to 1/2. This is the range. Question B. The graph of h, the original function, this one, intersects the graph of the inverse at 2 points. So here it looks like we have to solve them equal each other. Find the x coordinates of these 2 points. So this is question B. So I need to write h inverse equals hx. Hx here is the square root of 4x minus 2, and h inverse is x squared plus 2 over 4. So I need to make them equal each other. I would square both sides to delete the root. So here I have 4x minus 2 equals 4 squared is 16. X squared plus 2, I need to square the whole thing. So it's gonna be the square of the first one, which is x power 4, minus plus 2 times 2 times x squared, so 4x squared, plus the square of the second one is 4. Now let's multiply both sides by 16. If if I multiply both sides by 16, so I will cancel this 16 here. So I will have x power 4 plus 4x squared plus 4 equals 16 times 4x, 64x minus 16 times 2, 32. So here I will move everything to this side. It will be x power 4 plus 4x squared minus 64x. So this will be positive 32 plus 4, so positive 36 equals to 0. I need to solve this equation equals to 0. Here I will need a graphic design calculator because here I have x power 4. But let's check if this question comes in paper 1 when you don't have a calculator. You need to use synthetic division and just, you know, like write it as like factorizing. But I would use my graphic design calculator and find x-intercept because I'm solving it equal to 0. So I need to graph this and find x-intercept. So now I will go to graphs and I need to write it. Y equal x power 4, so I need to find x here. X power 4 minus 6 plus 4x squared plus 4x squared minus 64x plus 36 minus 64x plus 36. So I have to graph it. So I will go up, plot. It's not plotting, I don't know why. It's not graphing. There's a problem in my calculator. So once you graph it, it will show you the x-intercept. So there will be two values of x-intercept. Now what if you don't have a calculator? What would you do? I would start plugging in different values of x and see which one that makes it equal to 0, then divide. Like for example, let's try x here is 2. So 2 power 4 is 16. 2 squared is 4 plus 4 is 16. So 16 plus 16, 32 plus 36 is 68. Negative 64 times 2. So the answer will not be 0. So I need to try different numbers. So you keep on trying until, let's say, number 1 works. So you have to do x minus 1. So you have to flip it here and do synthetic division and put the leftover here. So it will be a cubic equation. But again, the graphic design calculator will help you. Let's say you graph it like that. So then because fx equals to 0, so you pick up the y-intercept. I think this question should come in paper 2. Now they said here, question D, find the derivative of h. So hx equals square root of 4x minus 2. They need the derivative. H prime x equals take the derivative of what's inside the root, divide it by 2 times the same square root, 2 times the question itself. So delete 4 with 2, so 2 over square root of 4x minus 2. Question E, find the values of x for which the graph of h and the graph of the inverse have the same gradient. What does it mean they have the same gradient? That means they have the same slope. So you need to make the derivative of h equals the derivative of the inverse. So you have to make the derivatives equal each other. Let's take the derivative of h prime, but first h prime was or h inverse was x squared plus 2 over 4. It's x squared plus 2 over 4, which is 1/4 x squared plus 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. Now let's take the derivative. H inverse derivative. Now here for derivative, I would drop the number 2 down, so it will be 2 times 1/4, so 1/2 x, and subtract 1. And the derivative of 1/2 is 0. So now I have to make the derivative of the inverse equals the derivative of h x, the original one. I have to make them equal each other. So h prime x equals h inverse prime x. So 2 over root 4x minus 2 must equal to 1/2 x, or x over 2. Now cross multiply. 2 times 2 is 4, equals x times square root of 4x minus 2. How to solve it? I need to find x. Square both sides. So it will be here 16 equals x squared, and here the square will delete the root, 4x minus 2. 16 equals 4x cubed minus 2x squared. Again, move 16 to that side and make it negative 4x cubed minus 2x squared minus 16 equal to 0. You need to solve this. Again, you need a graphic design calculator. I'm sorry, my calculator has something wrong with it. But once you graph it, choose x-intercept because it's equal to 0. So let's say you will have 3 solutions here. So there will be 3 x's. And that's all.